Looking ahead to week 7, our 6-pack of picks, and a really odd situation going on in Kansas City with their rookie left tackle on today's Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us as we roll on to week 7 now of this NFL season. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We got to start with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. Big favorites are KC at home, as expected, but sort of an ominous, strange story going on in Kansas City with rookie left tackle Josh Simmons. And so according to Nate Taylor, Josh Simmons was in California, not Kansas City. And he left at a time Sunday that is extremely unusual. Not sure when he's coming back. As of right now, the team doesn't know when he's coming back. And again, that's per Nate Taylor. And then more clarification on this as we know it from this story with Josh Simmons and the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs listed Josh Simmons as questionable hours before the game a couple of weeks ago with a quote-unquote illness, but he did play. And then this past weekend, per Underdog, Mahomes showed up for the game and noticed his left tackle wasn't there. And I watched this game and was like, well, where's Josh Simmons? I don't remember him being hurt or anything. And I didn't really know any of this other stuff at the time. And, you know, they luckily for the Chiefs, they've gotten decent offensive line play, and they brought in Jalen Moore in the offseason. And Suamataia, the guy they drafted to play left tackle last year, has been playing solid at left guard. And so they've been okay up front without Josh Simmons. But a report came out that some coaches didn't know where he was. Earlier that game day, Simmons deleted his Instagram, which, whatever. But usually with young folks in their 20s these days, it means something when you start unfollowing people or doing whatever. But it sounds like someone doesn't want to be contacted, right? And then the Chiefs announced Simmons would miss the game for, quote, personal reasons. Then SiriusXM initially said it was family reasons, but some reporters have since indicated that might not be the case. This sometimes happens when, someone has a baby, right? Or, go on paternity, go see their child be born, or, there's a death in the family or something like that. It doesn't sound
bad
like
happened. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't sound like any of those things are the case, or at least nothing's been reported yet. Andy Reid has said multiple times he won't comment and doesn't know when Simmons will return. Mahomes said he's praying for Simmons. And then Andy Reid basically said, Brett Veach, the GM, he's handling this. And, it's not in his court. So that's, if the head coach doesn't know what's going on with the player, the quarterback doesn't know what's going on with the player, and it's in the GM's hands, that tells you that there's something else roster-wise that needs to happen with Josh Simmons, and he's currently not on the team. It sounds like a more of an absent without a permission slip type of thing right now. With Josh Simmons in the Kansas City Chiefs, which is, so it's all just a really strange situation for a young player, and luckily it hasn't hurt the Chiefs on the field yet. And then you also, number one thing is like, well, is there something really bad going on with Josh Simmons? And you hope that's not the case.
And I absolutely hope that's not the case. I hope he's okay. I hope he's mentally okay, all those things too, not in trouble. But what I know about the situation, or been told about the situation, is he was an immensely talented left tackle prospect at Ohio State. I mean, those guys don't fall to the late first round often. And we all know that there was an injury involved. And it was real easy to say, oh, he didn't go that high because of the injury. Now, several sources have said there might be more to this guy than just an injury. I mean, in terms of character, mental makeup, whatever. And I hope that's not true. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I'm not trying to spread rumors. But we also know the Chiefs aren't all that concerned about that compared to other teams. I mean, they will overlook those things for the talented player. And their job is to win football games. And that philosophy's treated them extremely well. They go to the Super Bowl every year. And I was really impressed with him preseason, every step of the way. He's really good. And I think he's got a chance to be a great, great player. But they also have Moore and Taylor. They're paying 2 high-priced offensive tackles. And let's remember the timeline. When they signed Moore, they didn't know that they were going to get Simmons in the first round, so they do have insurance. The line's playing pretty well all in all. But this is odd, and it's a little weird to me that Reed would say, "Oh, the GM's handling it." My take on that is, like you said, maybe he's making a roster move or putting him on some kind of list, or maybe Reed's just busy getting ready for the Raiders. I mean, Reed's got a job to do too,
And the most of that information was collected by Bobby Burek, and so that's where I got like the sort of the synopsis of the whole situation going on from the different sources there on this Josh Simmons story. So yeah, and it's funny, they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Raiders had the Barrett Robbins situation, right? And that's the first thing I think of when there's a player just takes off and they're gone, right? And it's like, whoa, where did this player go? And so and clearly that was not a great situation with Barrett Robbins. And so you hope that's not the case with Josh Simmons. And and I assume there's going to be some designation here for this game on Sunday.
And it's weird that 2 weeks ago was illness, because that's pretty vague too. It's not a knee, it wasn't an ankle, it was an illness. And that
and the fact that they've labeled it illness and personal, it means that they don't know what's going on. That signals that. So the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're going to be all right without Josh Simmons in this game. And again, hope everything's good with Josh Simmons, and that situation is less concerning than it seems like right now. Kansas City favored by 12.5 points over the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 7.
And Max Crosby's a problem, obviously, but we mentioned they do have 2 tackles that are adequate. I don't think they're great. I'm really getting bullish on the Chiefs overall in terms of Super Bowl chances, ability to maybe grab the AFC by the throat a little bit, but I know their record is problematic. This still seems like a little too many points, though. I mean, when I'm not sure about games, I am taking points all the time this year, and that is starting to pay off well for me on these pick shows. And I think Geno Smith is better than he's shown, and the Chiefs don't really have a history of just blowing people's doors off.
I believe it was you that said something to the effect that we should consider Kansas City Chiefs as the best team in the NFL still right now.
I think we should consider that.
They're at home against one of the worst teams in the NFL.
I know. Just a lot of points.
It is a lot.
I think they win.
Last week there was one of these, and we took the points. That was it Cincy at Green Bay?
Yes.
Is that what the game was? And
the points won.
The points won. And for a minute, it looked like it wasn't going to. And then, professional football players made some plays, and then that was the case. So,
yeah,
I'm with you on this one. I think it's just too many points. And if we've learned anything this year, it's take the points in this chaotic league that we cover.
Yep, I'm leaning that way more and more, especially if it's double digits. Like quick side note on that. I bring him up because he also works for the Steeler Network. Do you remember the name Arthur Moats? He was a linebacker for the Bills and then the Steelers. Real nice guy. Yeah. But I mean, I've been on the radio plenty with him, and my current partner was with him every day. And Moats said a lot of people in the league will kind of laugh when they see double-digit points. Like players look at that like that should never happen. Like these games are all too close. That there's a faction of players in the league, including Arthur, who's a really good dude, that just think, man, Vegas and bettors just don't know sometimes that you should always take double-digit points.
Wasn't the Vegas Raiders just a couple weeks ago? Didn't they get blown out like 40-3 though?
I mean, you still lose by. I mean, but,
yeah.
People just think that, man, how can people think that this game's going to be more than like two touchdowns?
And essentially, what happens is the books have to make the line big enough to where people bet.
That's okay, right?
And take the points, as we are going to in this one. 12.5 points. It's a lot of points. I think KC wins this pretty easily. Is it 12.5? I'm not sure. KC's not really. KC's a weird football team, as are a lot of teams right now that you think of one thing about them and then something else happens and you're like, no, they're bad. Oh, no, actually they're good. Actually, they're really good. Actually, no, they're pretty mediocre. And so I think that's the danger we're in right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. But another team, and in fact, two teams that kind of feel that way right now, the Los Angeles Rams at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you've got McVay versus Liam Cohen, the master
in London, not in Jacksonville.
Yes, in London in this game, the London Jaguars. They're building a little fan base out there. Is that a factor in this game? We'll get to that one next. The Niners and Steelers both in prime time as well in our Week 7 6-pack of picks. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Mint Mobile. And when it comes to wireless, if you're still overpaying for it, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. And saying yes to making the switch gets you premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same phone number and contacts, which is huge. So you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That is mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payment of $45 required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. This episode is also brought to you by Built. And I know a lot of folks out there, it's not exactly fun paying rent every month. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. And that's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, maybe a future rent payment. How about your next Lyft ride and more? But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Built works for you, right? You're earning points every month for something you already have to pay. And how about when you're grabbing your local, your favorite food at your local restaurant, heading to the gym, you're still earning rewards. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure you use that link so they know we sent you. So taking a look at the Los Angeles Rams at Jacksonville Jaguars. Are actually at the London Jaguars in this one. And the Jags getting some points here. 2.5 points. The Rams are favorites in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is another game that I feel like I want to take points. So talk me out of it. The Jacksonville Jaguars, though, we're a team I expected a lot more from last week, coming off a big win against the Kansas City Chiefs, and just kind of, underscores the idea of that, man, it is chaos in the NFL, and everyone's like just rapidly headed toward the middle. Like, this is one of those leagues where it's like, it looked like it has and has nots at one point, and it's just becoming the ultimate parody season.
Yep, it's definitely true. I definitely think there is an advantage for Jacksonville playing in London, not because it's super loud and there's a million fans there or any of those things. It's just, I think if you make that trip, and part of that's because I just did it, that if you make that trip with some regularity, you get better at it, you get more used to it, you understand where to practice, how to get around. Everything's just a little different over there, of course. So I do think that's an advantage, but I don't like this matchup for them. And when I looked at this line originally, I saw it at 3, and I was like, "Ooh, 3's a lot," But 2.5. When you told me that, I was like, I'm going to take the Rams. And my biggest reason behind it is I don't think we're going to see Puka, by the way. So that's not great. But I do think the Rams offense is still pretty formidable. But you mentioned that game against Seattle for Jacksonville. The big problem was protection. I don't know that Verse and Fisk and Young and Turner and those guys. Young's having a really good year. We haven't brought him up enough either. I think they're going to win at the line of scrimmage, rushing 4, and that's a problem for me.
That is a problem. If you can get them blocked up, though, I don't love the Rams' back end, and I think that yards and points can be had in the passing game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But all told, I'm just not confident enough in this game to not take the points for the Jags, who have made that trip. Might have a few more fans in the stands. Who knows?
Pretty long road trip for LA.
The McVay versus Cohen thing. I feel like that is a long trip for West Coast team for sure. I've done that.
I'm surprised they didn't stay in Baltimore. They were in Baltimore last week. Why not find split the difference and find a
I've
practice
done that Atlantic flight, and this is a much more cushy flight. But man, that is not fun.
No, it's far
for a human too. There's a lot of big humans there. They got a lot more space in flights though than
they got a lot of space.
Commercials. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm taking the points there. Do you think the McVay Cohen thing, when worked under McVay, it's like I taught you everything you know, but not everything I know situation? Does that?
I always think it favors the older guy.
Advantage? Yeah, I feel like there is an advantage there. So I'm not against where you're at with this one, but again, I just don't feel strongly enough. I'm taking points.
Okay.
The New Orleans Saints are at the Chicago Bears. The Bears favored by 4.5. Bears favored big after that performance last week on Monday Night Football. Should the Bears be favored that much over anybody, even a team like the New Orleans Saints were having a tough time winning football games? The Saints were keeping games close, especially earlier on in the season too, even when they were losing.
Yeah. I think they're respectable. I mean, I think Rattler's okay, and the Saints aren't terrible. This is a tough line for me because I do think the Bears win. I'm hesitant to say they're turning a corner because when you start saying that about these mediocre teams, is almost always when they don't turn the corner.
And they just barely got out of there with a win. They needed a second field goal from a guy they just called up off the practice squad in Jake Moody to win that game by a single point.
They have their own issues for sure. I'm taking the Bears minus the points, though.
I'm looking at the Saints games. I forgot about this blowout against the Seahawks.
There was a bad one.
The Seahawks are a good team. The Bills are a good team. They lost big in those two games, but then they beat the Giants, and they were within a touchdown of the Pats last week, but a loss. They were one-score games the first 2 weeks against the Cards and the Niners, and that was a much healthier Niners team. But I think you have to favor Chicago. If you're giving them an extra 3 points at home, it's a 1.5 point. I'm gonna take the Bears in this one. I don't love it, but
I don't love it. I think it's a really good line.
You're taking the Bears?
I am too. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go the other way then. I'm gonna take New
Orleans. Okay.
Just because one of us has got to get this.
Might as well.
So I'm gonna take the points in the New Orleans Saints to at least keep this close and potentially an ugly game in Chicago.
It could be an ugly game in Chicago.
Let's see here. We got a few more games to get to, which are the Pittsburgh Steelers Thursday night at the Cincinnati Bengals. We got the Niners in primetime hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Here's an ugly game that has more draft implications than anything. I think the Miami Dolphins and maybe the Cleveland Browns are pretty close to blowing the thing up and potentially trading some players away too. Miami at Cleveland. Cleveland's favored by 2.5 at home.
I don't understand how Cleveland's favored. Not that I have great respect for Miami at all. And I think both these teams are in really bad places. Well, I don't know if the Browns are in such a bad place, other than they're just such a youth movement situation. I don't know if you heard some of Myles Garrett's comments after the Steeler game. I mean, it was, boy, it better be nice to have opportunities to rush the passer with a lead once in a while in my life. You know, like, and I think I cited this when I mentioned it a lot last week, Steelers-Browns. But when their defensive coordinator for the Browns took over in Schwartz, the start of 2023. Since then, the Browns have been number 1 in defensive EPA. And they've been 32nd in offensive EPA. And that just gets old, man. Like, it just gets old. I'm taking the points here.
You understand why Myles Garrett
Hey, you took the money, dude. Yeah.
Last offseason. And the thing that gets me is obviously the money was the factor, but there was like they tried to spin it like, you know what? They told me what the plan was, and I'm on board with the plan.
Yeah.
Was this the plan?
Is this the plan?
Like,
right.
Yeah, Flacco, but then we're going to trade him away, and we're going to have 2 rookie quarterbacks. You expect to win a lot of games doing that? Like with that, Myles Garrett was like, dude, that is a great idea. Let's
Good
go.
plan.
Yeah. So, well,
I don't think they should be favored over anybody at this point, really. Maybe Tennessee.
I agree. This was easy. That's why we put it in our six-pack. Miami Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins. I'm taking the points here, and they still might trade a bunch of players after this one, even if they win.
Both these seems good, right? I don't know. Njoku and Judy, and
Let's talk. Niners hosting the Falcons. Good one Sunday night. And then the week 7 game that kicks it all off Thursday night is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals next. Our friends at Mazda are always moving the standard forward, moving the game forward. We talk a lot about different highlights as it pertains to Mazda and how the game is moved forward. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. You talk about athletes, everything that goes into a football game, footwork to breath work. Athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings that same intention to how they craft every single model of every single vehicle. And you can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail. And I can attest to that. I've been driving a Mazda CX-5 for 10 years, and it's just phenomenal. It just feels different. It feels like it's in another class versus the other vehicles that I test drove. The way it feels when it drives, the way it feels to sit in it, the seats, the console, everything about it is just super high quality, and so much intention goes into this. And accents like Napa leather upholstery, just the way it drives, it feels different and it performs different. And with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. So like the players on the field, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Let's go to Sunday night football. We're going to do Thursday night last, just because we're recording this Thursday, and some folks might get to this after the Thursday nighter has already happened. So we'll see how close we are if you've already watched that football game with the Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. But let's go to San Francisco, or let's go to Santa Clara, more specifically, Levi Stadium. Sunday night football. This is a shocker. One of the easiest picks of the week for me. I am surprised, and I still can't believe that the line hasn't moved from 2.5 points, that the 49ers are favored against the Atlanta Falcons with the pieces that are missing for the San Francisco 49ers. You're on your backup quarterback. I get Mac Jones has played well. Christian McCaffrey doesn't look the same. The 49ers running game doesn't look the same. Trent Williams doesn't look the same. And then you're without the 2 most important pieces on your defense in Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, now done for the year with a dislocated ankle. And I think you can find a linebacker to stuff the run and run and hit, right? It's the communication, the passing game.
The passing game.
The pass rush with Nick Bosa without Nick Bosa has been non-existent for the 49ers. And you look at these two teams, it's nearly extremes with the pass rush, which is my biggest factor here. The Falcons, second best sack rate in the league. Niners, second worst sack rate in the league without Nick Bosa. That's a lot to overcome for the 49ers. And we saw that against the Bucs last week. And I get that, maybe it's you get a day less because you were on Monday Night Football for the Falcons, and you're traveling across the country.
That's a big deal, but
I don't see how the Niners are favored in this one. So, yeah, give me the Falcons, and I'm taking the points.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you see it the same way I do, because when I looked at this line, I had to refresh my screen. I'm like, oh, are we sure this is a plus and not a minus? I thought Atlanta should be favored. I think Atlanta is the better team. I'm picking Atlanta to win. I do hate short week road trip like that, though. I mean, that is substantial. But
it's not a Thursday, though. It's a Sunday. And,
right.
Sunday night an extra half a day, so it's not quite,
take a nap during the day or whatever,
yeah.
Bijan presents a lot of problems to me without Warner. And London, I think, starting to really come into his own. I think Penix is fine. But you're right, that Falcons defense is flying around right now, and I think they cause a ton of problems. You mentioned off the air, you think Kittle might be back for this one, or probably.
It's looking like Kittle's
least
going to be back, which is huge for the 49ers. And that helps the run game, helps the pass game. But and he's going to be the number one wide receiver probably in this game. He's coming off a hamstring, so it's not a guarantee. He's kind of slow playing his way in at practice this week, but it's looking like he's going to be back, which is massive, and hopefully that helps the 49ers run the ball.
I'm taking the points all day long, though. And if this was a pick 'em, I'd take Atlanta.
No, of course, the Falcons could lose this game. The 49ers did this a few weeks ago when the line was like at 8.5 by game time, and the Niners won on a Thursday night short week at the Rams. But part of that is familiarity. There is some familiarity here, by the way. Jeff Ulbrich, defensive coordinator, worked under Robert Saleh with the Jets. And again, we talked about Cohen and McVay earlier, this Mick Shanahan tree. Raheem Morris and Zach, Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson didn't work under Shanahan, but they're very familiar in their. Nobody's going to be surprising anybody scheme wise in this football game. Short week, so that does help the 49ers out. But even if you look at the Niners when they shocked everybody and won on that Thursday nighter after the Bosa injury against the Rams, they needed a lot of help. Kyron Williams like dropping pitches, and they had a fumble on the 2-yard line, and it still went to overtime. They needed a lot of help to win that game. So the Niners are going to have to win the margins, need a lot of help, win special teams and all those things. That's a lot to ask, I think, with how banged up they are. Give me the Falcons on this one.
Me too. I was shocked.
Pittsburgh Steelers are at the Cincinnati Bengals. Were you impressed by the Flacco Bengals last week? The Steelers on the road favored by 4.5 here. Is this another one like we just talked about? Short week, Thursday nighter. Does that level the playing field against familiar opponents for you to want to take the points and the home dog in the Cincinnati Bengals here?
I'll start with the Flacco question. I watched him a ton because the Steelers played the Browns the week before, and watched Browns tape going into that one, even though Gabriel's getting the start. And I thought, man, my man Joe is shot. What is he doing? And then watched the first half of the Bengals-Packers game and thought, yep, I'm right. Joe shot. What are the Bengals doing? Then he started to get kind of comfortable and aggressive, and the second half was much, much better. They got the ball to Chase and Higgins, and in the end, I kind of came away with it going, I guess I understand what the Bengals are doing here, that he will get the ball to those two playmakers in an aggressive fashion, and that's at least a start and makes them dangerous, because everything else about the Bengals is hideous right now. I mean, they're last in point differential at -80, and they were 2-0. I mean,
right, yeah.
I mean, you get plus when you win. So I think the Steelers blow them out, to be honest with you. And I didn't think that earlier in the week, but more and more I am. But I want to give you this little Steeler nugget, and I wonder if it changes your tune. And I think there is something to it. Mike Tomlin is 2-9 on the road Thursday night football. And he's never beaten a division opponent on the road Thursday night. Even at home, Thursday night's not his thing. If you give Tomlin a lot of time to prepare, his record's great. But on short turnaround games, it's really bad, including like COVID when they would play like on Wednesdays and weird stuff like that. So 2-9 on the road and has not been good on Thursday night football. However, I've been countering that all week with this new quarterback they have, Aaron Rodgers. He has a Thursday night track record as well. And he's 13-5 with a 42-5 touchdown to interception ratio on Thursday night football. And those are recent. I mean, that's like with the Jets. That's not whenever he's like the best player in the league.
I was going to say, like, are we talking about 2012 Aaron Rodgers?
Right. It's every step of the way. I looked at the exact same thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sure his record's good on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays too. Because he's good, But I think the thing with Rodgers is I'm so impressed with him mentally. I don't think he needs a lot of time to prepare. And if you're going to get simplified defenses, he carves them up,
Yeah, and speaking of simplified, with Flacco, it's probably not where you want it to be there either, because you get traded midweek and you jump in and you're starting, and then you get
spent there like 8 days.
So he hasn't had a normal week of even practice with his football team he's starting. So that's not a good thing.
And I don't think Trey Hendrickson's going to play. I think
And 4.5
he's
points
soon.
isn't a lot. Like it was 14.5 last week for the Cincinnati Bengals, where
Yeah.
you can still lose big and you cover the number.
They're terrible.
I just can't. Yeah, with the defense the way it is, Trey Hendrickson's got a back. I'm going to give up the points and take the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. Put one more in Tomlin's win category on Thursday nights.
I think Flacco gets hit a ton. Steelers are blitzing 6-man pressures like crazy people right now, and nobody's blocking it out.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is like if Flacco had been there all year, it'd be like, okay, Thursday night, take the point from dog. But I can't be confident on either side of the football for the Cincinnati Bengals right now. No. And hopefully for those folks in fantasy leagues, you at least get that one touchdown pass to Jamar Chase that he's been giving you every week.
I do think the ball will go to those two receivers a lot.
Yeah. That is our Week 7 6-pack of picks. Let us know what you think, and we'll be back Friday to make picks for the rest of the Week 7 schedule right here, Peacock and Williamson. Make sure you subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts.